Hi, this is Tom.
Hi, this is Andy.
We're Group Armada. Welcome to the first ever playthrough of our new album, Edge of the Rise. I'm really excited to be here sharing this with you. It's out tomorrow. Andy, tell us a little bit about the record, if you could.
Certainly, Tom. Yeah, it's an album that we said we never made. We never make. When we clocked off in 2010, started doing the live tours. We went kind of underground, back to DJing and making the kind of house music that we started with in the early 90s. And that was going to be it for albums until we decided to get the live band back together for a fateful long weekend, just because for the crack really, to get it all back together and do it all one more time. And that was a pretty electric weekend, and that got us thinking and looking back a little bit over the old Blacklight archives, finding some great little grooves and ideas, and slowly we came to the conclusion that, you know, why not do it one more time, or maybe more than one more time. So we ended up in Tom's basement in N16 with a fridge full of beers and not a lot of sleep, and pretty much like it was for Northern Star in 1957.
That's the one. Yeah, so for the next hour, we're going to take you through the album. You can be guided, tour guides, gorgeous tour guides, me and Andy. We're going to take you through the whole thing, track by track, and tell you some little anecdotes and sort of influences for all the pieces of music that are on this wonderful record you're about to hear, To the Rise. Okay, so the first track is Get Out on the Dance Floor. You've probably heard this one before. It's the first single. Hopefully you saw the lockdown video featuring all sorts of superstars, including Rose McGowan, which I loved. And yeah, this was a record that features the vocals of Nick Littlemore. I'm going to now hand over to my partner, Andy, who's going to tell you all about the record.
So Nick Littlemore of Empire of the Sun and Penal fame. We worked with him before. In fact, one of the tunes we worked with him on Blacklight, Carved Dear Heart, has become something of a mellow live anthem. And he's an amazing guy, very creative brain. Working with him involves getting him fired up and then letting this sort of stream of consciousness just flow, often for hours. And so when we started going over the bits on the cutting room floor from Blacklight, we found a whole load of just phrases from different sessions and recordings of Nick's, and after a lot of cutting and pasting, we ended up with this madly coherent vocal, sort of Talking Head style, bit David Burney, and so we put that kind of groove underneath it, and the result was a lockdown classic.
Get out on the dance floor, one move at a time, three in a line. 60 miles and I'll be flying motorcycles into the sky. No, sir. Cash, 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 it's a cash society.
Holding strong, big mellow anthem. Really excited. It's one of the ones that I really was so excited about playing live. We would have been playing this one at the Teenage Cancer Trust gig, I think, that got cancelled. That all seems a long time ago. This is one of the tracks that the guy called James Alexander Bright, who also designed the album sleeve, features on Talk Talk, which I'm going to play later, and a couple of other tracks. But yeah, he heard this and loved the mood of it. Kind of, it references, I guess, this sort of a kind of power ballad meets sort of Stranger Things with a sort of big Fleetwood Mac kind of outro. Am I missing anything, Andy?
Top Gun, maybe. Oh, have I lost everyone there? No, okay, yeah, Top Gun. Yeah, there was a bit of Top Gun in there as well. It was one of these things where we'd had the music for a while, actually, and the music sound nice pretty quickly, but the vocals got to tread that perfect balance. Otherwise, you do get into the wrong side of the 80s. But finally, thanks to James, we got on the right side of the 80s, and I think this is one of my favourite tunes on the album.
So Tripwire, yeah, one of my favourites on the album. This has got the vocals of, here we go, just better angle. This has got the vocals of Littlemore, who sung on the opening track, Get Out The Dance Floor. It's sort of originally a track that he did and then sent us over as a sort of crude vibe, and we built it all up in a studio in South London called Moloko Studios, lovely place. And it was on a grand piano. We had Martin, our drummer, on drums, obviously, and George, the guitar player, and they started chugging along. And then we added layers of vocals and synths back in my studio where I am now. And yeah, it all came together. I think this is a real smash and one of my favourite tunes off the album.
Tripwise on your own way. Tripwise on your own way. Don't stop. Tripwise, tripping on my head again. Tripwise, facing down death again. Facing death, facing no death again. Facing death.
Okay, so this track is Don't Give Up. This has been through a number of different versions, hasn't it, Andy? We had this one going around. This was one of the ones we had to battle through, really. And eventually we got there with a lovely sort of gospel vocal from a girl called Kerry Latham, who oddly features on about 6 tracks on the album, but we've never even met her. So that's a bit strange, but that's modern music for you. Yeah, I really love this record. It's kind of uplifting piece of sort of soul music, really. You could call it, you know, an anthem for our times a bit, you know, all this don't give up, just got to keep pushing on, right? What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, well, it began actually, we should credit a friend of mine who lives locally called Sarah Kuhn, who features on a couple of tunes on the record.
Yeah.
And actually, the original thing began as a kind of like sort of, you know, those kind of like marching style blues songs that they do within the army, and that she'd done for the people who she teaches in a community choir. And she was singing that one day, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And it was underneath that original vocal that this groove emerged. And then it just kind of went in a, what's the 80s reference there that we talked about a lot on this one, Tom? You know, with regard to those BVs that we didn't use in the end, that we always said.
There's a bit of Michael McDonald's.
Exactly. So we ended up with that sort of, yeah. And we were like, Christ, that sounds like one of those sort of classic like McDonald tunes. And again, it's getting the right vocal to kind of do that justice and give it a twist. And what we ended up with actually is a duet between Sarah, who sang the original vocal, and Kerry. And I think in the chorus there might even be a third person in there. But we went. It was the gospel choir solution was the solution. Yeah.
Just tripping
I think that the We're Free, well, it was an early hit. We used to have these things called kitchen discos where we'd emerged from Tom's basement. We'd put the tunes on in the kitchen, and there would often be Tom's wife Jessie there. And on this particular kitchen disco, there were more people there. It was more of a party before the rule of 6 put pay to such reckless behaviour. And this created a moment of sort of reflective silence in the party atmosphere. This was a big hit from the beginning, really, and we actually put loads of strings on it, written by my friend Dan, who's done lots of string for us in the past. Very amazingly talented guy. In the end, they do feature, but just at the end, because there's something about the just real simplicity of the demo version that shouldn't have been messed with.
we're free. We got the water our feet. And do you know what we could be, baby?
Yeah, so Edge of the Horizon is another tune that probably has been, we probably came out of the Black Light era. So it's a tune that's been messing around with for years and years. and we could never quite find the right vocal for this tune. We must have tried, like 10 different vocalists, I reckon, and finally got there with Jess Larrabee, who also features on Blacklight. She sung 2 tracks, Just for Tonight and Look Me in the Eye Sister, from that album. And she delivers a kind of really beautifully understated vocal on a kind of pretty big track, and one that I think makes a lot of sense as the title track of the album. It's another, I know we talked about Holding Strong as a favourite. This is one of my real favourites of the record, actually. I really adore this record.
Next track is Lover for Now. There's a word that sounds a bit like peon. Maybe it is peon to Ital Disco. Is it peon, that the word?
A peon.
Tribute.
Yeah. P-A-E-O-N. I'm looking it up now, but I think a peon, yeah.
Okay, anyway, let's go tribute. It's easier to sort of Ital Disco. In fact, it mainly is Ital Disco, to be totally honest, because this is one where we had a great vocal from Todd Edwards of many collaborations worth of fame, Daft Punk amongst others. But so we had the vocal on a groove, and it was nice, but it wasn't killer. And then there was a time when we DJ'd a poolside party at Pikes in Ibiza, and during that party we played this tune, The Faces by Cleo, or Cleo by The Faces. We've reissued it, so it's all above board, the sample, and that sort of came to mind, and we put that loop underneath the vocal, and it was a very tasty combination. So rather than being a tribute to Ital Disco, I should probably say this is Ital Disco and Lover for Now. Turn it up.
Can I just also add that a paean is not a tribute. A paean, sometimes spelled pian, is a fervent expression of joy or praise, often in song.
Well, maybe we should go with that.
Okay. But it's not a paean to Ital Disco, it's just a paean.
Stuck in your head with nothing meaningful. She's all living time, yeah. Stuck in your head with nothing meaningful. She's all living time, yeah. Love her just for now. Just for now, just for now, just for now, just for now, just for now.
I Can Only Miss You. Been through quite a few iterations. Another word I don't really know if that's even a word, but I think it is. And it's featuring the vocals of a guy called Paris Brightledge, who is a Chicago house legend. Most famously sung on that track It's All Right by Sterling Void, real massive late 80s, early 90s house anthem. But it still sounds great today. We've got 2 tracks on the album with him, and we've written a couple of things that we do in our GA21 thing. So he's becoming, a kind of long time GA collaborator now, Paris Brightledge. And this tune, I could hand over to Andy, because Andy took it off and stuck it in a little garage in France and sort of did something rather special with it.
As it were. Yeah, I was just checking iteration actually, but it does work.
It does work. Okay.
So we had this vocal again in a house on a house backing, and it was nice, but again it was missing something, no pun intended. And so I've got this little rock and roll band down here, and the drummer's got this nice soundproof garage where we can go and have a jam. And so we did, and because we were just playing on piano bass drums, just the house thing sort of went out the window, and we tried sort of halving the tempo. And that's where the this sort of Princey vibe came from. And having worked on it a bit back in the basement, Tom's place, we had this really nice track, but it needed to go somewhere. And that's what led to the idea of getting it back to Dorian, the man who can on the guitar down in this part of France, to record the only or the first commercially released distorted guitar solo since 1987.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple with this track. There's kind of two different musical references there, because there's definitely a touch of Hall and Oates, you know, like in that kind of. There's a track called "She's Gone," which we featured on another late night thing, and there's a mood of that, and then there is definitely with the guitar solo, there is a mood of kind of, you know, Prince letting rip on his guitar, you know, on that kind of that combination of soul and kind of shredding that we all love.
I can only miss you. I can only miss you. It never changes. It never sleeps. These shadows are all sweet.
This actually, oddly for me, What You're Gonna Do With Your Love is another bit of a personal favourite. There's a part on it that me and Andy were wrestling over for a long time, and I just stamped my tiny foot, and insisted on this strange bit of the song in the first half of the second verse, and I'm really pleased it's still there. It's got loads of vocalists on this one. It's got Sarah, Andy mentioned, Sarah Kuhn. It's got a guy called Tim Hutton who's worked with us for years. It's got James Alexander Bright, possibly might even have Kerry, but it's a group effort. How do you feel about the foot stamping bit, Andy? Now,
No, I think you know that I've been reconciled to the jazz club moment for a long time, and I've got to the point of being able to take pleasure from it.
okay.
But yeah, this is I love this tune. Definitely shades of Soul to Soul about it.
Yeah,
and it's all about the chord that precedes the chorus, and you're about to find out what we mean.
and just to add, just shades of Soul to Soul and loose ends.
Yeah, there's a loose ends track on one of our compilations, and that was definitely, which I can't quite remember the name of, but there's only one of them, and it's at the end.
Yeah,
I heard it on the radio or something like that. Radio or something, isn't it?
yeah. Something about the vibe flows through, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. In a slightly sort of mixed up roundabout way, that's what happened with this tune.
What you gonna do with your love? What you gonna do with your love? Time gonna make it your love. What you gonna do with your love? Hold on. What you gonna do with your love?
I was going to say Back from the Dead and then hand over to you.
It was both. I mean, this tune was one of the first things, one of the first sessions we recorded some stuff separately. It's one of the first things that we pulled together and went through. I'm not going to use iterations again. A lot of different versions. This is one that we jammed with the band a bit down in Moloko Studios, didn't we, down in South London one afternoon. And this version, I think, does feature quite a bit of the band on it. And yeah, I think when I found this version, I think it was version 63 on my iTunes playlist. And then right at the end of the process of marshing this record, I had one last chance to try and get it on the record. I think Andy was just so worn out by me nagging him about putting this tune on the album that he finally relented. It was like, fine, put it on there.
Well, actually, it wasn't so much that by the end. It was the fact there was a previous version with a really nice bridge.
Yeah.
And I got really into the bridge.
Yeah.
As for the record, as my son, who remains furious that version is not on there and has changed his iPod playlist to incorporate the version with the bridge. But yeah, in the end, Tom just wore me down.
There's a calm that you bring, your sunshine and everything. You wanna talk, yeah.
Well, this is the kitchen disco. This is a kitchen disco classic, which then was cast aside. Well, actually, it was remixed. We did another version completely, which was kind of nearly really great, but just fell between two stools just at the last minute. And then it was thrown aside, and we had in its place a fantastic tune featuring Red Rat, who we worked with on Final Shakedown. And that is a great tune, but it's really, really out there. And it kind of stopped the album as a whole, sort of sounding, well, stopped the album sounding as a sort of a united whole. So that's been pushed back to a forthcoming, more club-orientated set of releases, but definitely worth waiting for. So we wanted to finish on a bit of an up, and suddenly remembered that there was this really nice kind of 10cc, for those old enough to remember, style tune. No, not 10cc, 10 City. Yeah. 10cc, of course, yeah, even older to remember those ones, but that's nothing to do with this song. 10 City, influence type thing. And we kind of, we remembered it, and then we tweaked with it, and then ended up just leaving it like it was a thing, didn't we?
I think we did, yeah. I think it's often a way, in it. You know, there's one of the kind of early versions where you capture a moment. That would definitely have been one of those tracks where, when we recorded it in quite intense like bursts. You know, probably 2-3 days back to back in my little studio here in Stokey, and then this was definitely one of those ones that was probably about 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, when you know you really should be getting to bed. And I think this is when the tune sort of came together, and it's got that vibe. And like Andy said, it's one of the ones it's a kitchen disco classic. So here it is, Dance I Hurt Away, the final track on our 76th record. How many records have we done? 7, 8?
I think, yeah.
Northern Star and Black Book.
Depends if you count the compilations or not. I reckon if you count the compilations, are in double figures.
Yeah. I don't think you can count the compilations. I think we can throw Northern Star and Little Black Book in there.
What's that come to then, 9?
I'm just writing it out now. Seeing, I bet you can't remember them. We're in the right order.
Right, Northern Star.
Vertigo. Next.
Goodbye Country at the Nightclub.
Yes.
Love Box.
Ooh.
Soundboy Rock.
Yeah.
Is it Black Light after that?
Yeah, big leap.
Yeah, Black Light.
Oh, Little Black Book.
Little Black Book. Well, White Light as well.
Oh, yeah.
Black Book. Live at Brixton really should be in there, because that's a whole new set of music, really.
Yeah, okay.
And then Edge to the Horizon.
You want me to total that up?
And really, there were so many dance EPs in the meantime, that probably counts as another album. But anyway,
8.5.
8.5.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. Okay, well, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Album's out tomorrow. Can't wait for that, and can't wait to come and hopefully play it on a stage for you somewhere in the fields in 2021, when we've got this miserable year out of the way. Thank yous. Who should we thank? Well, so many people to thank. Obviously, all the management crew, Mike, Nathan, Becky, Jamie, Joe, all the musicians who I probably couldn't remember any, but all the brilliant musicians that played in this record. And lovely people. Matt King, we should thank, shouldn't we? I don't put me on the spot now. I'm going to forget somebody. God, my mother, the Pope. Anyone else, Andy?
I think we need some kind of catch-all phrase. Yeah, there's things with people writing books when they say, "You know who you are."
Yeah, exactly. You know who you are. Even if I've forgot you, you know who you are.
Stream it. You can download it anywhere from tomorrow, and together we can make this #1. Let's do this.